I want to talk to you about ways that we can get our own natural instruments into GarageBand. And I'm going to start with an electric guitar because GarageBand has its own virtual amplifiers. This is a selection of amplifiers that oftentimes mimic popular guitar sounds. One of my favorites is Dublin Delay because it's essentially the Edge from U2. There's one that's kind of like Brian May from Queen. One of my other favorite ones is Modern UK. It's just like a straight ahead alternative rock sound. But there's even ambient guitar effects within GarageBand. And there are third-party plugins that allow you to take that sort of creative guitar playing even further. And we'll get into those third-party plugins, those effects, in a minute. But first I want to show you how I actually get my guitar sound into GarageBand. And the thing that I utilize is called an iRig. The iRig plugs onto your guitar cable, and it has kind of like a standard headphone jack. It's stereo, it's over here. Now, if you are using a modern iPhone that doesn't have the stereo jack, you can get an adapter that goes onto this and plugs into the lightning port on your iPhone. I have recorded into my GarageBand on the iPhone, but I also use an iPad that has a headphone jack, and I've had no difficulty getting the sound from this through this into GarageBand, getting a perfect clean amplifier sound. Once you have your guitar plugged into GarageBand, go ahead and swipe until you see the amplifier. You have a few choices. It doesn't really matter which one you pick because you are going to have the opportunity to change these after the fact. One of my favorites is under processed. It's called Dublin Delay, and that essentially is something that mimics U2. There are a lot of other ones like Bohemian Rock that are intended to evoke a particular existing artist. So Bohemian Rock would be Queen. One of my favorites under Crunchy is Modern UK. You'll notice that I have a few extra ones here that are called Tone Collection, and you can access those in your main menu under Sound Library. This is where you can access other sounds that aren't native to GarageBand when you open it up. These are all free from Apple. You just need to download them. Like, I haven't downloaded this Transitions pack, but if I hit Get, it will load. Going back to our song though. Now I'm going to put headphones on so I can hear what I'm playing and how it sounds. To be able to monitor your headphones, you need to tap the jack in the upper left corner, and then you have an option that says monitor. So you switch that on, and all of a sudden you can hear what you're doing. Before you do any guitar recording, it's always essential to tune your instrument. There's no point in recording a bunch of stuff and finding out that it's out of tune. So our tuner is in the upper right corner. We tap that. We play our strings and adjust accordingly. I'm going to speed through this process and skip a little bit of it because I understand is not that entertaining to sit and watch me tune. Okay, now we're in tune. We switch back to this speaker emblem next to the tuner, and this showcases what pedals you have depending on your preset. So Glam Rock just has this phase tripper, and you'll notice that there is another space. If I tap that space, I can add an assortment of other pedals that GarageBand comes with. We'll come back to this in a moment. I'm gonna pick a different sound, the Modern UK, one of my favorite setups. That's a little bit of Laid by James for you. I'll go ahead and show you that Dublin delay sound that I enjoy. So there's a little bit of Sunday Bloody Sunday. The pedals that this Dublin delay has are not quite what I would choose myself. So if I wanted to add a different pedal or make any adjustments to these, or do things like flip the vintage drive to fat, change the attack on the squash compressor to slow, turn up the sustain, add another pedal, something like this high drive. You can do all of those things if you go back to the amplifier in the upper right corner. I notice this is an incredibly trebly sound. It needs a little more bass and cut down on the treble to make it what I think a U2 guitar sounds more like. I'll turn up the bass in the mid, turn down the treble. Now, if you come up with a sound that you like, you can save that as a new preset. Tap the name of whatever you're working with. So tap Dublin delay. I'm going to tap save in the upper right corner here. And I'm going to name it what I want to name it. That is now listed in the custom presets underneath all these other ones. And I highly encourage anybody who is using GarageBand to record their guitar to come up with your own presets. Ultimately, you're going to have a sound library that nobody else has. And I think that's important, that we have our own flavors that are unique to us, not necessarily the canned versions that come with whatever program we're working with. Now, one of my favorite sounds from the Tone Collection is called Endless Ambient. And this is a way of creating guitar sound that really doesn't sound like a guitar. A lot of my favorite guitar sounds are like that, things that were pioneered by people like Daniel Lanois. Go ahead and record something like that. When you do your recording with your guitar, it will be a mono signal in your headphones, meaning it's the same sound in both left and right channels. When you switch to your tracks and listen back, it's going to be in stereo. And at this point, you can slice up stuff, you can loop it as you can any other sounds in GarageBand. So if I think I played one section better than another, I'll just go ahead, slice it, and loop it by tapping. If you change your mind as far as how you want the sound to be processed, or if you want to mix a performance between one amplifier and another, you're welcome to do that. I created a new amplifier. I'm going to copy this, paste the performance, and I'm going to send one into this channel and pan this one in the other direction, so when you listen back, you can now hear how my performance sounds in two different sonic environments. Now we're going to check out how to add effects from third parties to your GarageBand performances. First, you need to find the effects that you want to have. You need to either purchase them or download them to your iPad or iPhone. To access them, they will be where that plug is. You'll see where it says Inter-App Audio. Select that. And when I pick Effect, I have all the ones that I've purchased and have downloaded on this iPad. Crystalline is one of my favorites. It's going to run in the background. This is a super clean guitar. Without Crystalline, it just sounds almost like nothing, but with Crystalline, you'll hear the sound doubled as this high-pitched keyboard. And the apps, of course, have their own parameters that you can adjust. So we have one called Edge, not surprisingly for my musical taste. Whenever you're in a third-party app and you want to bounce back to GarageBand, there's usually an icon, lower left corner in this case. If you search through the App Store, you'll probably find an overwhelming amount of third-party apps that integrate with your GarageBand. Before you spend money on these, I just encourage you to look up on YouTube or in the app designer's description for some kind of video that lets you know exactly what the app does, because one can waste a lot of precious time and money on things that really won't help you in the creative ventures that you are currently pursuing.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more creative tutorials, gear reviews and video art. Also check out our Patreon for weekly bonus videos and model photography sets.